Hello friends, my name is Shivam from DevOps Schools and I will help you to enable your learning process in various technologies of DevOps, artificial intelligence, machine learning, big data and many more. This is our initiative to help you by sharing multiple tutorials and videos. And if you want any specific tutorials or any particular topic, then please do comment in the below comment section and I will help you with it. Also, please subscribe to our premium services on YouTube, which will give you access to more content and videos to enhance your knowledge about all these topics. Also, if you want me to help you with regards to the online trainings and classroom sessions by our qualified trainers, then please do write me at contact@devopsschool.com. Thank you.
Now in a single pipeline, the generic pipeline, you will have only one branch, and all the jobs are executed within that branch itself. Now if you have multi-branch pipelines wherein each of the branches are running parallelly and each of them can do separate actions, then you can create multi-branch pipeline. Now I'm going to create a job, and just notice here how do we do it. So I'm going to call it my job. Okay, and I'm going to create a freestyle project here. Okay, this is a very generic job which is going to just do something. Now whenever you are creating a job, there are multiple options that you can deal with. For example, description. So this is my first job. Then there are options that what kind of job it is going to be. It is going to be a GitHub project. Are you going to pass on some parameters, uh, or anything else that you would like? Now every job when executes, right, we call that a build in Jenkins language. Okay, every job execution is often called as build in Jenkins. Okay, now this job I'm writing for the first time, so obviously it has never had a build. So I come down. Then are you going to integrate with the source code management? Look, two of the source code management plugins are automatically available, Git and Subversion, so I can integrate it with them. If you are using any other source code management, you can even use that by adding their plugins. Build triggers. Now build trigger tells us that who is going to execute this job. So there can be multiple types of jobs which are executed after a certain point in time. So you can create scheduled jobs. So once you create a scheduled job and you specify that, okay, execute this job every minute, then this job will execute every 1 minute, whatever it might do. You want a job to be connected with the source code management, you can do that. And whenever something happens to the source code management, this job will trigger. Okay, so what is a trigger? Trigger will determine how a job build is initialized. Okay, then there are some more options. You can add build environment, you can add post build actions, that once the build has completed, what do you want? So let's say a build has happened. Now all the log files should be sent to the dev team so that they know build was successful. Such use cases can be built up. Now I'm just going to add a very simple build step, which I'm going to execute a shell script. So let's say echo hello into test.txt. Okay, that's it. A very simple job. I'm going to save this job. Now this job has been saved, right? This job has been saved. Now this job has never executed. How can I execute it? Now I did not set any trigger for it, right? So the only option I can execute this job is manually. So I'm going to execute this job. Now when I click on this job, right, what really happens is a build queue gets created. Okay, and there are two executors, right? Now once the job has been built, okay, it is going to be built by these executors. Now there are two executors, right? So both of them are idle. So if any job is initialized, then it will right away be allocated to one of the executor who will take over. Now let's say if I have three jobs which all start simultaneously, then obviously I don't have three build executors, right? So two of the jobs will get allocated to two of the build executors, but one job will go into the build queue. And once a build executor becomes available, the build queue job will be taken up by the build executor. That's how the ecosystem works. Now, can we increase the number of build executors? Yes, we can. Okay, but that also depends upon the capability of your machine. Now look, one build has taken place already because I clicked on the build. Now if you go to the this build, right, look what it really did. It was started by admin, running as system, running building in workspace, and then once it was supposed to only echo hello, right, which it did, and finally it says successful. So my job is successful. Now do one thing. First of all, take a look around and create a hello job like this and ask me any questions. With manual build. Okay, then we'll talk about the triggers and how we can make use of them. Do this.
Himanshu, can you show that that build job once again? How you have created?
Sure. See, this was the job that I had. Okay, if I go to the configure option, then it will show me all the options that I did. I didn't do anything here. Didn't do anything. Just passed on this thing. In the build step, I just passed on this thing. Now notice here, you can even execute Python script on any other script that you would like. Okay, you can even call some of the build tools which are out there. We'll talk about them. How do we integrate with them with the build tools?
Okay, just you in the build and the add build step, you are given execute shell, right?
Right.
Thank you.
Now guys, once you
The
have executed,
test dot
once you have cleared,
the test.txt file will be available in the workspace, the directory, or where it will be?
right, that's a good question. I was about to come to it. Now look, what really happens is whenever you execute a job, right, now how do you plan writing your jobs and execution environment and all things, right? Now understand one thing. When you work with Jenkins, right, we know Jenkins does everything in its home directory, right? Okay, Jenkins has a home directory where all the necessary details, all the necessary information is kept. Okay, now where is this home directory? If you go to your virtual machine, if you go to your virtual machine, then go to a directory called warlib Jenkins. Now this is your Jenkins home directory by default. Warlib Jenkins. Now the other thing that you have to understand is when each of the job executes, each job executes in its own workspace. Now, what really is a workspace? So workspace is a closed environment where whatever data that it generates or whatever it does, right, it does that within the workspace. Okay. Now, a couple of things with respect to the Jenkins home directory I'm going to talk about. Now, when you take a look at this home directory, right, look, there are a lot of XML files which are configuration files. There are jobs files, logs files, nodes files, right? A lot of directories are already there. Now, if you go to workspace, right? Now, in the workspace, we can see one of the job that we created. That job is listed, right? Now, if I go to my job, look, you can see a file has been created, right? Test.txt, right? So this verifies that each job gets executed in its workspace. The other thing with respect to it is, when you go to other directories, like let's say if you go to jobs directory, okay, you can actually see the job configuration. So when you go to my job, okay, look, all the details with respect to job is saved into this config.xml file. How many builds you have done? We have done only one build, right? Look, all the build details are kept here, that we have done only one build, and this is the builds. All the builds are kept. Now, if you want to see all the configuration, you can take into links config.xml. Okay, this configuration file is eventually used to read those options which we pass on. So we don't really have to deal with this, but yeah, these are there, so just know them. Now, a lot of logs are available for each of the build that happens. Okay, now if you would like to see the logs, we can go to specific jobs and then take a look, but we'll talk about more advanced. Okay, now apart from all these things, Jenkins also has a file called config.xml. Now, this is called Jenkins configuration file. That means the entire Jenkins instance that we are running, right, it also has a lot of configuration parameters, which some of them we did encounter when we did the setup. But apart from it, it also has a lot of other parameters. So a lot of parameters you can pass on into this and write it. The information can be accessed onto the Jenkins documentation, and you can directly modify these files, and then restarting the Jenkins instance will pick up the configuration from here. So just know about these files. Okay, so do one thing, take a very quick look into the Jenkins home directory. Do this. Understand how the workspace and the other directories are listed there. Go to the users directory, you will see user configuration file and some of the other parameters. We'll talk about how we can add users and work with them. Right now, your Jenkins instance has only one user.
But can you show me once, I mean, how to run this after saving all those, right? Whether it will automatically pick it up or how about it?
Which one?
I mean, after configuring, it shows, I mean, the last success, right? How to run it
I'm not
after
getting it.
configuring what? After configuring, okay,
Configuring
how to
what?
run the job? Yeah.
Okay. See, once you have configured the job, right? Do you see this green icon in front of it? Do you see this? So you can click on
Yes.
this. You can click on this, or you can also click here and then click on build now right now. So when I click on
All
this, notice one thing. The build has started, and now if I go to my job, I should see two builds there. You can see.
Okay. Okay. All right. Thank you.
So this was all about a manual build, right? Now let me talk a little bit about triggers. Okay, that how does triggers work with the build properties? Um, uh, so guys, there are a couple of things that I'm going to talk about. Triggers and couple of Jenkins features I'm going to talk today mostly. Okay, Do you need a break right now?
Yeah, maybe.
Fine, we can take a break. After the break, I'm going to talk about a lot of Jenkins features, talk about plugins, how the plugin management works. Uh, so those things we are going to talk mostly about. We'll talk about how Jenkins integrates with source code management as well, and how we can do triggered build. That when you make a commit into Jenkins, GitHub, how a build can be triggered automatically. Let's
So
have
the
a
one which we have noticed, right, to run the shell file in the Jenkins server itself, correct? So we
right.
can configure to run the shell script from remote server and as well as the other way around, right?
Right. We can do that. See, right now Jenkins is operating in a single master, right? So you can even add multiple nodes to the Jenkins, and Jenkins can easily operate in master slave mode. So remote execution of shell scripts or anything can easily be done. You can connect multiple machines with your Jenkins server.
So does it have any agents? I mean, we need to configure Jenkins on all the server where we need to run the jobs, or
Right.
how the
So see,
architecture?
there are two ways. One is a agent-driven approach. Okay. The second one is that you make an SSH connection and then do it.
Okay, got it.
Are you
So
getting it? Yeah.
the
So master
SSH
will
key
make
should be there in the Jenkins server,
yeah.
correct?
So not really
SSH chat.
SSH key. You can do it key-based connection, or you can even do password-based connection. That also works.
Okay, okay.
So this execution idle is like the thread available for execution. Is it like that?
Exactly.
So only when okay. So
So
but
this is like
master slave is
multi-threading.
different concept, right? That it's like more like the number of nodes we can spin up to support.
Exactly.
So
So see,
then
what
this
happens is,
execution.
yeah, just listen. So when you have multiple nodes, right, then what happens is all the nodes thread will also be available to master. So your multi-threading capability will increase exponentially. So for example, let's say if you have two nodes and each of the node has two threads, right? Then how many total threads now you have? 6.
Okay. So what is the label concept in Jenkins?
So label concept is that when you create a job, right? So labels are used to identify the nodes. Okay. Once you have identified a node, so let's say if there is a let's say there are multiple types of slaves you have added. Some are dev slaves, some are test slaves. Okay. Now, if you want a job should always be going to a specific machine, then you can link them by the label.
Okay. So label is like a group of nodes, and once you link a job to a label, then it will go to a specific group of nodes.
Exactly. You got it right.
Okay.
Hello everyone. So I know it's break time. Sorry to bother you. Please click the feedback link which I have pasted in chat box and give your valuable feedback. Thank you so much.
Fine, guys. I think we are good to start now. Now, we have discussed about Jenkins home directory, right? Now, next we are going to talk about a thing called triggers. Okay, let's talk about different kinds of triggers, how we can make use of them. Triggers actually serve the purpose of how a job is getting triggered. They define how a job is being built. Okay, so they act as an initializer for the build. Okay, now how a job is to be initialized is totally determined by the trigger itself. Now, what we are going to do is, let's understand few kinds of triggers which are there. The first kind of trigger which is in there is called scheduled jobs. Okay, or you can call it cron trigger, or okay, we call them scheduled jobs. Now, how does it works out is, when you are creating a job, let's say if I create a new job, let's call it scheduled job. If I'm creating a job, okay, let's call it a scheduled job. Now you can define how often a job is getting created. So you see this option, build periodically. You can use this option to tell it that after how much time it should automatically build. So if you put 5 stars, that means it will build every minute. Okay, so this is a very generic job, very generic trigger. And what am I trying to say is, hello, echo hello into times.txt. Okay, so every time it echoes hello, that means we know that execution has taken place. Okay, we save it. Now once you have created this job, right, look, we don't really have to trigger it manually. We just have to sit aside and wait, and every minute, because it is going to build automatically, it will start building. Okay, so let's wait for it. You can see it has automatically started building, right? And now that the job has been built in its Jenkins home directory, if you go to workspace, okay, we can see there's a new job created called scheduled job, right? And if you go to this job, okay, we can see it will show us, right? Now if it executes again, then another hello will come up, right? And so on and so forth, it will continue to go. So this was one of a kind of a job wherein we used scheduled job, okay, cron trigger kind of a thing. The second kind of job is often we called as which is a very popular use case that triggered with the changes in the source code management. Okay, SCM triggered jobs. Now what really happens is, let's say if you have to trigger a job that every time if you make a push into a main branch of a GitHub, a job should trigger, right? It can be a requirement, right? So let's do one thing. Let's integrate our job with a source code management wherein we are going to push a shell script, and that shell script will automatically execute. So let's say if I would like to use this repository, or let me use a new repository here. So if I create a new repository here, if I call it Jenkins SCM, okay, create repository. Now let's say I'm going to integrate it with this job. So I'll create a job here. Look, after 2 minutes, automatically a new build has been taken place, right? Has taken place. So that's how it will continue to work. So if I create a new job, let's say, and if I call it git job, okay, I'm again going with if freestyle project. Let's call it integrated with git. Now this is a GitHub job, so I'm going to integrate it with the source code management. Git. What is your repository URL? This is my repository URL. Okay, now this is a public repository, so you don't really have to add credentials. If it is a private repository, then you might have to add the credentials here. Okay, we have added the credential. Which branch? Master branch. And then you can configure build trigger. Now how do you want to build it? So once you have defined the git repository, right, what it really does is it will automatically do a git clone on this GitHub repository. Now when it does the git clone, all the source code which is available in it will automatically be copied locally. Okay, once it has copied locally, what do you want it to do? Now how do you want the job to be triggered? So let's say poll SCM. Now what it will do in this case is it will try to connect with the source code management every minute, and it will ask, do you have new code? And every time I do a new commit within 1 minute, this polling will result into a new cloning and will execute my code. That's a very generic example. And once it clones it, what do you want to do? So you can add some build step. Okay, so let's say I'm going to pass it a script. So chmod u plus x script.sh, and that then I wanted to execute that shell script. Now that shell script is going to contain whatever I'm going to mention into them. Okay, so that's a very simple example that we are going to test it out. So I'm going to save it now. Once we have saved it, look, this job will not really trigger automatically. It is polling for the Git repository, but there is no commit done yet, so it won't really do anything here. So I'm just going to create a repository here. Okay. Now let's initialize Git here first of all. Let's do git config. Okay. Now let's write a shell script here. Okay. Okay, very pretty simple script. Okay. We save this. Now what am I going to do is I'm going to add it, git add get commit -m1, and then I'll push it git remote add origin, and now let's push it. Now the moment I push it, you will notice the polling has failed here, right? Because there is no code in there, right? And hence when it polled, look, it couldn't really clone this repository, and that is what the error should be visible here. Couldn't find any revision to build, right? Because there is no commit in there. So let's see this now. Git push get remote add origin, git push origin master. Okay, the push has taken place. Now we can see here, we should see the source code here, right? We can see this has been copied. Now let's see on the next poll when it happens, right? This will execute. Now see, this is again polling and it has been executed. And let's see what happens in this, the third build. So if you see the logs of the third build, see, it was started by an SCM change. That means a push actually started it. And what really happened is it did git fetch. So that means the entire code was cloned locally. Once it was cloned, okay, it executed, made that execute script executable, and it executed, right? And we can see whatever the script content is executed. Now if you go to this repository, right? Let's say if you go to this workspace, warlib Jenkins workspace. cd git job. Look, you can see here script.sh is automatically cloned, right? We can see, right? Now if I make a new push, again it will execute. Until then it won't execute. It will remain the way it is. Are we getting the idea how we have integrated it with the Git now? So if I make a new, let's say if I make some changes to the code, my code, okay, I'm going to say I got just again executed. Okay, I'm just making a small change. I save it. I'll do git add dot get commit -m. Second, I'll do get push origin master.
please enroll our general membership for $399 plan to get access of all the parts.
Along with that, you can access our other tutorials such as Docker, Ansible, Jenkins, Terraform, Splunk, AWS, Azure, and various other DevOps related premium tutorials with our channel membership. If you would have any issues with our channel membership, you can drop an email to us at contact@devopsschool.com, or you can also unsubscribe from channel membership anytime if you don't want to continue or did not like the video. To get our channel membership, click onto the join button, select the $399 plan and grow your skills immensely. Please be kind enough to like it, and you can comment any of your doubts and queries. We will reply to them at the earliest. Thanks for watching.